from all over the country, and the play was so highly received that it then went to New York University, and William Patterson, who directed Two Trains Running on Broadway, he was our director. I believe that there's no such thing as no. That's my first thing. There's no such thing as no. There's no such thing as I don't have enough money. And there's no such thing as we can't get the money we need, because what I find is that we need to give the third world community a lot more credit than we do in terms of economically empowering our art form. I have been really blessed. My middle name is Grateful. I am so grateful to the fact that I was able to orchestrate, even in New York City, the entire political community. I had congressmen on my board of directors. At one point, Mark, I had 33 people on my board of directors because I was a wild child in New York. I had 33 people from every walk of life. I had political people. I had church people. I had theater people. I had regular people. I had Caribbeans. I had Native Americans. I had Latinos. Because to me, the power of the people is what funds our productions. It really does. I did get heavily funded by NEA, the National Endowment of the Arts. I was funded by NISC. I got funded by Bill Gates. But initially, I funded myself by putting together what I call, and I still do it like that, Mark, with my last production. I put together teams of people, and I say, this is our goal. We don't take no for an answer. I tell them how much the budget's going to be. The last production that I did in Atlanta, we raised $200,000, and we started out with $500. And that's how I operate. I just put together 10 people and say, we are going to do this. I've always been known for that. We're going to do this. If there's anybody in this room who's afraid, please leave now. I always say, you're excused, because I don't operate with fear. I don't operate with fear. We need X number of dollars. This is how much it's going to cost, and we're going to go get this money, and we're going to do it two methods. We're going to get it from either donations, we're going to get it from corporations, or we're going to get it in kind. With the last production I did, American Black Princess, we raised over $180,000 in kind money. We really did. And that's part of what I believe in and what I do. I'm a people person. I believe in people power. I believe that every contact you make in the universe is for a reason. And that reason, if you are a change agent in the arts and you really believe, and I'm a political writer, which means that most of my work was political in nature, being that it was steeped in sarcasm, Dean. It was steeped in comedy. It was steeped in music and dance, because I was trained by, quote, a Caucasian university. So I went through the whole 4 years of Shakespeare and Chaucer and the Italian Renaissance and the Spanish Renaissance, and I created the African Renaissance. I said, you know what? Now that I'm out of this school, which was Hunter College, now that I'm out of the European psyche in terms of what theater is and what art is, I'm going to find out what it is to me. And I took a trip to Africa. I told Dean I got my name in Nigeria because I went so much that they finally said they wanted to give me another name. I was there. Every time we turned around, I was coming through customs in Nigeria. They said, okay, girl, you got to be Yoruba or something, or Igbo, so we just going to change your name, and we just going to make you a sister because, girl, we don't see you a lot up in here. My whole point is to study the aesthetics of African art, African music, African dance, which I did. I studied at the University of Lagos, University of Ibadan. I studied at the University of Ife. I hung out with Fela. You know Fela? I actually hung out with him. I went to his temple, and I sat at his feet with 20 other people and listened to his philosophical language, his music. I hung out with Ashebe. I needed to find out who I was as friends of a Black American. What are my aesthetics? I've already studied Shakespeare. I've already studied Chaucer. I've studied all the Spanish and Italian and French Renaissance writers. What am I going to be? Who am I as a writer? Because I am just as radical as Shakespeare. I am just as potent as the French Renaissance writers, but I am a Black American writer. So therefore, I have to show my cultural significance as a female writer. And like I said, all of my plays had a theme to them. There was a political overtone. And I think that's why people began to come to them, because there was always something going on underneath the current of the actual play. The first play I did was Land of the Egyptians, Mark, because I didn't know I was a playwright. I didn't go to Hunter College to be a playwright. I went to Hunter College to just be educated. And I danced with Pearl Primus there, and I studied. I didn't know what I wanted to do except be a fabulous person. So I came out, and I was a poet because I was actually hanging out with the last poet. Abiel Doom was one of my big brothers, and I was going to all their poetry readings. If you know anything about Brooklyn, I hung out at the East when Pharaoh Saunders was there. I was a kid, and I was running around with all these really high-caliber African-American, African artists, listening to their music and trying to figure out who I am. So I decided that I was a Duke. That's who I am. And my voice is different than all the other voices, and I wanted to be independent of my own voice. So I write primarily musicals. You know my work, Mark, because you saw Bump Sonata.
Yeah. And she definitely does some great work and talks about some very important issues and things of that nature. And actually, Dean can relate to that whole thing of being around the New York area because he lives in New Jersey, works in the New Jersey area. But his wife is actually from Harlem and has her own business company that she founded recently and everything, where she's doing event management and things of that nature. So she's actually there in your old stomping grounds and has been doing work up there now for, how long has she been doing work in the event management realm? About 5 or 6 years now, or a little bit longer than that?
A little bit longer than that. It started maybe about 2006 with an Elegant Affair with Class, and then it went from an Elegant Affair with Class to, I can't remember the name of the other name of the business, but then she worked with Three Harlem Sisters for a while, and now it's Exclusive Events is the name of her event planning business. We just did a wedding a few months ago, and it was pretty nice, you know, according to the feedback from those who attended, which is the most important thing. My wife is originally from Harlem, born in Harlem Hospital, so that's another connection there. You know. So she, that's.
Well, Mark,
world.
I've already put in a pitch to him. You know, Mark, when I was speaking to Dean before the show aired, I already asked him about his wife, and so I'm going to use her. We're going to do a children's Kwanzaa festival in New York in December. We've done this before to Jacob Davis. And that's the first thing I asked. I said, I heard about your wife, and we would like to possibly have her come in with us and do all of the formation of the decorations for the children's village. And he said, okay, we'll talk. That's what I do, Mark. You know me. I will go up to people I don't know and just ask for what I want. I'm not a fearful kid. I was never afraid of people. So I would go ask people what I want. Like, Mark, you know Woody King Jr. is the king of Black theater in New York. And Woody met me, I was like 22 years old. And I won an Aduke Award for a festival I did at the Apollo Theater. And I said, Woody, I need your help. Please help me, Woody. And Woody looked at me and said, Duke, I'm giving you no help because, number one, you don't need none. He was so funny. And I said, yes, I do. He said, Duke, stop it. You got the Apollo Theater. You went there for 3 months. You produced an entire festival. The only thing I can do for you is be your mentor and your intellectual guide. But, girl, you got this. You know what you want. And it made me feel really good because he said, you know what you want. Just do it the way you want to do it. Don't take anybody else's guidelines. Listen to your own creative voice. Listen to your own journey. And my journey, Mark, has been international. I have visited most of the Caribbean and worked with Caribbean artists. I've been all over South America. I've been all out of Africa because I wanted to connect with the African diaspora. And I found it enhanced my writing ability when I began to study Trinidadian theater and Barbadian theater and Nigerian theater and Ghanaian theater and East African theater with the Maasai. I've been very blessed because I can absorb the energy when I travel and then come back and put it in my work. So that's really who I am. I'm very blessed and grateful. I never lose sight of the fact that I was highly blessed growing up in one of the most difficult communities in New York. Brooklyn was really so rough that they used to chase me home from school. I had red hair, which is unusual. You know, how black people look really different type of ways. So I had red hair, and it was weird. It was red hair, and it was weird looking. And I played the violin, Dean. So the neighborhood was like, how you get to be a black girl with red hair playing the violin? No, really, I'm telling you how it was. Walking down the street through the projects, check this out, with the violin. And they were trying to figure out, that's not acceptable. You can't come in this neighborhood playing the violin. And no, really, and who do you think you are? I said, well, I like the violin, in fact. I kind of liked Beethoven. They thought I was crazy. So every day I had to run home because I had to walk through the park, and they would see me and chase me to my door because they thought I was crazy. What this little black, but it made me, no, really, it made me very stubborn. I'm very stubborn. It made me stubborn. I was like, I'm going to walk this neighborhood every single day with this violin. In fact, I even took it out more just so I can walk through the neighborhood with the violin. Because I was like, I know they ain't trying to chase me with my little violin. So that was what happened. Ahead,
so you're gonna get through there no matter what. You were not gonna have them take that violin from you. You're gonna be persistent with that violin and that red hair and everything. Now we know a lot of times when we think about the black theater and everything, unfortunately, it does sometimes come off as being. Sometimes, I mean, they're great playwrights like yourself. I definitely consider Mickey a good friend and everything, Mickey Grant and everything. But sometimes it does come off as being a little bit overly masculine and not enough of the ladies being involved. So what is, in your mind, was it like being a black female producer, playwright, and director? Because I do know that sometimes that can be an issue that maybe it's a little bit overly male-dominated.
Well, it was a rough journey. I'm not going to make it up. It's a boys' club. It was a boys' club in New York. I had a way with guys because I have always gotten along really well with men since I was a kid. I had all my friends were male. It was something about my personality that guys liked hanging out with me. So I had mostly male friends. So I got to understand the male psyche a great deal. It was a very rough journey. But what I did, I let them adopt me as their little sister. I knew Ed Bullens and all of them, and I just went in as the little sister, which is the way that I did it. In other words, I went and sat at their feet and said, listen, I'm a woman. I know this is a boys' club up in here, but I need you to teach me everything you know. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to respectfully listen and take notes. And I used to take a notebook whenever I met Woody for lunch. I did. I brought a notebook. I said, when you talk, I take notes because I want to know how you're doing this so I can do it. And I was always, Mark, very cheerful and happy-go-lucky in theater. I never fought with people. I didn't have no attitude. I always dressed, and this is very important to say this, I dressed like a girl. I was very, very fluffy acting. In other words, I would come in with the fluffy dress on. When I met Douglas Stern Award, I had just gotten back from the Caribbean. I had on a halter top with some bell-bottom pants on and some cowboy boots. And Douglas Stern Award said, girl, you are really sexy. What are you doing running around in my theater looking like this? I said, I come to take over. I need to get my play produced. And I don't give up no sex, so let me just sit over here and let's talk. And he thought it was comical. He said, you are really wild. I said, I'm a girl, and so I approach it like a woman. I'm a girl playwright. I'm not a male playwright. So I bring all the fluff here. I bring the different colors. I bring the excitement as a female director, producer, because I see things differently than you do. I see it differently because I see it through another lens. And a lot of the male players